everyone, welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Happy Sunday. How are you? We wanted to hop in. We got some fun things to share with you. I have a tutorial for you that you can use with any stamp set, which is going to be so much fun. So I'm going to give a couple of seconds. People are joining in, although that might just be Greg that said he was joining in. But I'll give it a few seconds. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a tutorial. As I say, you can use this with any stamp set. I want to make sure I got a couple of things next to me. I do right here. And it's something that I talked about earlier in the week, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm actually going to combine two tutorials together to show you a really fun way to use some of your supplies. So hi Suzette, hi everyone who is joining. So happy Sunday. How are you today? Drop us a comment, let us know how you're doing, what you're up to on this Sunday, and those kinds of things as well. And we're going to share some announcements and things as well. So today I'm going to show you, as the title said, how to use just 3 colored markers. Now we could use alcohol markers. I have Copics here. You could use Tri-Blends from Spectrum Noir. You could use the Arteza markers. You can use the blending trios from Tonic. You can use any alcohol marker for this. It kind of transitions into water-based as well, but alcohol are going to work best for this technique. So I wanted to share with you how to do this. I went live earlier in the week and said, what would you like to see? And people said how to make everything sparkly with kaleidoscope powders. So we're going to do that too. And then also I'm going to show you how to do this 3-pen coloring. So I showed some cards I was sending off to Hachanda on Monday. And some of them I just colored with 3 colors. I did monochrome and I did blues, and they looked so pretty, and it is so easy to do. So I'm going to share that with you in this live. So welcome anyone. And I hope you're all having a great Sunday. So happy St. Nicholas Day, or Nikolaus. If you didn't know, my family is German. So when I was little, we used to put our shoes out. There was a rhyme we had to sing. And then...
What's the rhyme?
No.
You don't need to sing the rhyme we used to sing and then not tell us the
I do.
rhyme.
And then you used to put your shoes out, and then you would get your boots filled with chocolates and candy by St. Nikolaus when you got up the next morning. So instead of that, we have been doing Nikolaus, but with a crafty twist. So if you go to the makerforte.com store, you can use the coupon code Lift Your Spirits DEC, all one word, no spaces, and get 20% off your whole purchase. But if you spend more than $50, I am going to give you a goodie bag of crafty supplies. I have some really fun things that we bought for subscription boxes, amazing crafty supplies. There's markers in there, there's papers, there's stamps, all sorts of fun things. And I kept having this little box of things that we bought in bulk and we accumulated. So I thought, what's better than giving out crafty goodie bags? So if you spend $50, you'll get a minimum $30 goodie bag if you go to makerforte.com and shop before midnight tonight. Stop it, Greg.
Everybody wants to hear the rhyme.
Nikolaus, komm heraus, packe deine Sachen aus.
That was very anticlimactic, is that it?
Well, you're supposed to sing it, but I ain't singing it. So anyway, that's what the poem is. It goes on and on, but I could only ever remember the first line. But he still came, even though I just said the first line. So I decided that was it.
Is that the one where you're supposed to put your shoes out and you fill with chocolate? And that's the one where everybody else put their little pumps out and I put my enormous knee-high rubber welly boots out.
Rain boots, yeah. Greg put his huge size 13 knee-high rain boots out. They still got filled though. Anyway, so so instead of doing that, we are going to fill your rain boots or your pumps or whatever you put out with some crafty goodies in a goodie bag if you shop the makerforte.com store today. So that's available. There's 20% off with that. And if you want to, you can come and join Greg and I next Monday. So not tomorrow, week on Monday at 7 p.m. for Lift Your Spirits, where we have a cocktail. You can also have a mocktail. We do both versions. And we also make 4 cards using one stamp set. So this month we're doing Build Your Christmas is our stamp set. And we're going to be using it Christmassy and non-Christmassy. And one of the techniques I think Greg is going to absolutely die for. It's a surprise. But you can come join us. It's a free class. You need to go and get your ticket. So I'm going to paste in here There we go. This is everything I put in. Oh, I'm not allowed to put that much in. YouTube. Okay, I'm going to paste in how to get your free ticket for Lift Your Spirits. And you don't have to put a credit card in. You don't have to put anything in. You literally go, grab your ticket, check out, and then you'll get an email from us next weekend with the link of how to join the exclusive class. If you want to craft along, we are using the Build Your Own Christmas set, which is this one, and it's discounted from $23.99 to $18.99, and you can stack that 20% off coupon. And if you top your cart up, then you can also get your free goodie bag. So lots of different ways. So make sure you go and get your free class. We cannot wait. It will be live, so it's interactive, just like these lives are. I can't believe how many of you have signed up, so thank you. But there's always room for one more or two more or 10 or 50 more. So however many of you want to come join us, feel free. We'd love to have you. All right, let's get into today's tutorial. I'm sure Greg's going to let you know more about Lift Your Spirits as we go. So we're using a piece of white cardstock. This is our 110-pound essentials, and it is great for everything from card bases to alcohol coloring. It's really thick and sturdy, and it's ultra white. So 99% white. So that means it's really nice for alcoholic coloring. I don't know where that little bit of cardstock came from. I'm using this corner flower here. This is the Hugs stamp set, which I adore. It's an Alex Siberia stamp set. It comes in a 4x6. Again, you can use your coupon and things on it. I'm going to drop the link down the side because I know people will ask. So I'm going to pick this up in my Misty, and I'm going to stamp it out with some black ink. And you want to use something, if you're doing alcohol markers, obviously use an alcohol marker friendly ink. And I'm going to stamp this one out. Yeah, Lift Your Spirits is great fun because although we use a particular stamp set, you can use any stamp set in your stash and craft along. The techniques carry over to every stamp set. And we're going to show you how to take a Christmassy stamp set and turn it into things that are also non-Christmas. So here I have stamped this out and give it a couple of seconds to dry. I'm using another piece of paper underneath. Now this can just be regular printer paper. It can be anything you want at all. But you want to make sure there's something porous, not just your tabletop. If I have my tabletop, my ink is going to bleed all the way out, and it's not going to be so much fun. So yay, Lola's signed up for Lift Your Spirits. The other nice thing is people who have been intrigued by Hedgehog Holidays. This is basically like Hedgehog Holidays Light. You get one class like you would get in Hedgehog Holidays. Greg, you might want to switch so they can actually see that I'm talking to.
Sorry.
He's preoccupied with other things. So yeah, if you've ever wondered what Hedgehog Holidays is like, this is a way to experience just one of those classes that we do all weekend long for free. It's going to be so much fun. Robin's
for free, remember.
For free. It is free. You don't have to pay anything. You do not have to buy the stamp set. You can use any stamp set in your stash. I mean, if you want to, you can, and then you can craft along and make the same things. But yeah, it is totally free. You just go grab your ticket, and it's secret link. You won't get the link unless you sign up for a ticket. So be sure to go and do that. What is an alcohol marker friendly ink? So if you want to do it with alcohol markers, hybrid works great. Or water-based. If you use something like StazOn or Archival, it's going to run because it's an alcohol-based ink to make it waterproof and stay-proof on things like fabric and UPO paper and all those things. So it wants to be water-based or hybrid. So I have a particular favorite, which if you're in holidays, you'll have found out what's coming your way and how to get those. But that was a secret just for them. So I'm going to use 3 shades of one color. Now, the ones I showed you earlier in the week, I did with blues. Does anyone here have a favorite color that they might like me to use? What do you think, Greg?
We'll
give everyone else a chance to vote.
I'm going to go Tim Holtz and say brown, because then you can do a really nice autumnal kind of shade.
Are you orange or brown? You want me to do like the sepia cards I did, or are you thinking orange like the wreaths that I did?
Oh, I like both of those.
Lola says purple. Robin says spring colors.
Oh, spring would be nice.
So do you like lilacs? All right, we'll do lilacs. So I'm going to use, if you have Copics and want to try this, I'm going to use BV11, BV13, and BV17. Okay. Robin says sepia. I love doing the monochrome coloring. I just absolutely love it. So we're going to try this combination out, but you want to use 3 colors and they want to be reasonably different. So you can see I've got 3 really nice different shades. I have a really light, a mid, and a dark. Now we're going to start off with our lightest shade, and you're going to want to color your whole thing. This is darker than I normally go, so this is going to be a challenge, but it's good. So you want to color your first part of your image. So I like to do 1 flower at a time when I'm doing just 3 colors. And the nice thing about this thing is you can see I can color over it. It doesn't run at all. It stays really nice and crisp. So I can't talk that well and concentrate on coloring. So I might be quiet while I'm actually doing the main bit, the coloring, because I want to stay in the lines. And this is where it's really important to have something underneath so that your ink doesn't saturate your paper and run, because your base color, when you're doing particularly this technique, which is really fun to do, but you want to make sure that you put a really thick coat of your first color down. Now you'll get to a point where you see over time that you've got enough ink down because it's nice and even. It gives you a nice sheen and things. But if you are newer to alcohol ink coloring, the trick is to look at the reverse. So I'm going to make sure I get all the way around here. I think I'm about there, but we're going to see. What you want to do is pick up your piece and look at the back. Now, if you can see the same on the back as you can see on the front, obviously you're not going to have the black lines, but you want to see the outline of the ink. So this bit, I don't know why it seems to be particularly porous or not. So now you can see I pretty much have the same outline on the back that I do on the front. Okay, so there's that.
Couple of questions. Do you have the stamps available from 2019 in January? Just
No.
to have your lion stamp.
No, but Watchmaker Forte Space in, I don't know what month. There's something similar on the way. But we also have the Buck Stops stencil, which is same but different.
Okay. And also, somebody missed what ink you're using. Can you shout it out?
This is any alcohol marker friendly ink. This is actually the Maker Forte ink that we released as a pre-order in Hedgehog Hollow Days. So if it will be coming out early next year. If you're in Hollow Days, you could get it easy. Okay. So you could get it early, even not easy. No one saying. All right, so now you're going to take your next shade. This is BV13, and you're going to hold your pen really straight, like really, really straight, because that gives you a nice fine point, and then you're going to flick from the center. Just like that. And because this is my mid shade, I'm going a reasonably long way.
Oh, somebody just signed up to Lift Your Spirits.
Yay! I'm really excited. We have so many people coming to join Lift Your Spirits.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And then you're going to take your darkest shade. So in this case, this is BV17. Again, very, very straight and flick. And you're going to do less flicks.
Fewer flicks.
You can all just imagine the look that Greg just got. So we're doing some flicks in there. Now you can see how that depth and dimension is coming in here to really look lovely. Then you're going to go back to your lightest shade, and you're going to flick from the opposite end, so the top of your petal. And this time you can see I'm more on my side. It doesn't matter that I have a thicker stroke. The taller you hold your pen, the thinner your flicks will be. And learning to flick, Greg, stop it, is really important. So I'm going to show you an exercise in a second. And then all this does is it softens. But you can see there how pretty that looks. See that? And that was really easy. I think even Greg could do that.
I mean, even I could do that.
Well, he's not, you know, the best color in the world. But here you go. If I catch the light, you can see. There you go. Look how pretty that is. So much depth and dimension and everything in there. And you see I have some bleeding. I use the same piece of paper. I have a clipboard that has a piece of paper on it. And then all my bleeds go through and it doesn't matter. It doesn't pick up and come back. Someone else just joined Lift Your Spirits too. So welcome everyone coming to Lift Your Spirits. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to love it. I'll drop the link in there again, just in case. Lots of you have just missed it too. So, or just joined rather. So. Did I miss something else, Greg?
No, we're good. Oh. Hi, crafty sister. It's missed something else. No, I think we're good.
And then I'll also put the link to the stamp set that we're going to use. But you don't, as I say, have to have the stamp set. That's the really nice thing about Lift Your Spirits. You can just get the ticket, and if you're on a crafty budget, just use whatever you have. But I'm going to show you some really, really fun techniques. I think you're going to love them. So let's just talk about the flicking for a second. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do flicking practice. So here at the bottom, I have a piece of our Perfect Blend paper, which is really nice to use. Particularly if you want to practice with your alcohol markers. So I'm going to just use a green because it happens to look good for this technique. So I suggest you really practice the flicking. So what I suggest you do is take your pen, hold it kind of, what degree is that? About 45 degrees, Greg?
On what axis?
So basically you want to lay it in
it's about 45
this arch
degrees.
here, so it lays down. And then just flick. And I do that with my darkest color. And this is, you'll find I do this all the time. And I want some that are short, some that are long. And you can go to a different color. And you're going to increase or decrease your angle. It's going to kind of be halfway between that and that. And now you're going to go in between. And kind of fill in some of those gaps. And then I go in with my lightest color, really upright, like really upright, and make it wispy at the top. And sometimes you need to go back through the different colors. Now, the really fun thing about using the Perfect Blend, and something we discovered a couple of weeks ago, which we didn't know. But look how cool that looks. And then if you want to just like jazz it up a little bit, again, take your brush marker, lay it down away from you like this. I don't even know how else was.
It's still 45 degrees, but it's now pointing like upwards.
So my pen this is pointing away from me. The nib is pointing towards me. And lay your nib down, lay your nib down. And then you can make little flowers in the grass. It also happens to make the perfect heart. So if you want to make a heart on your card, or if you want to keep going, and then, yeah. So you can just practice. I really recommend practicing with your brush because you can see how fine you can make your flicks. And this is using the Perfect Blend cardstock. And the reason I was using this is it is alcohol ink friendly. And now I say friendly because there are a few ifs and buts. That's a different thing. But do you see like how those alcohol markers mix together? And they just make this like a most amazing kind of, it's not quite UPO, it's not regular paper. The special coating on there just allows them to stay wetter a bit longer. And I think that looks like this perfect little field. I love how that comes out. Don't you, Greg?
That's awesome, yeah. And that technique could be used for like rain in a similar way.
You can do rain, yeah. If I take
use like balloons or something like that.
I like using a cool gray for my rain. So you can see now that they look like little raindrops. falling down. You could also just like do them like that. So again, lots of different ways to use the alcohol markers. But if I do the same thing on regular paper, I was going to do like this. I totally digressed from the tutorial I was going to do, but we'll get back to it in a second. You never know. So I'm doing exactly the same thing. And I tend to go back with my darkest and just add a couple of wisps. And then you can go in with your pink. And it's all just practice. I mean, I'm doing it fast, but trust me, it's all practice. And then we take our little raindrops. And I would like do a few different colors and whatever, but you can do that. But do you see how different it looks based on the papers? So this one you can see like blends really well together, whereas this one, yeah, that way, has harsher edges on it. So I think they just look totally different. So the paper really does make a big difference. So if you want to practice your alcohol marker techniques, the perfect blend is really, really nice to work with. You can also do really nice alcohol blends on it. Like if you want to practice your blending. So if you want to practice these, here we can turn it over and use the other side. If you want to practice doing your blends, you can start off with your base shade. You can hear it has a little bit of a squeak just because it has a coating on it. Then you can take your mid shade. You go back to your light again. See how that fades out so perfectly. And then you can go to your dark, mid, light. So you can really practice your shading, and you can see how amazing that shading came out just from using a different paper that's lightly coated. But it will really help you practice your skills and practice your craft, so that you can make fun little scenes like this, and then you could stamp something on the top or a pretty sentiment across, and you pretty much be done. Or you can learn to make flowers, and there's all sorts of things you can do, because you can do that flower like this. You can even just kind of do a half flower, then do a stem. I like to do kind of a little dot and flick down a stem, and then take my piece. And you can do that. Or if you have a long stem, you can flick out and make it look like a tulip with reeds on it. So then I can put my tulip top on. You've got a little tulip on the top there. And trust me, Greg will tell you, I'm no artist. I can't draw to save my life. He's seen my stick then. Like, it's not a good situation. But I can totally do this with the top of the brush tips. So really have that. So this paper that I'm using, Angela, is Perfect Blend paper. Let me find you a link to make it easy. Here we go. Okay, so there is a slimline version and there's a A2 version. So there you go. So that's the paper. So anyway, I digress. Let's go back to our lovely flower that we were going to make here. So we're going to go back to our 3 shades. So this is BV11, BV13, and BV17. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to color in my base area. Make sure I have a really nice even coat. You can see I'm going over it a couple of times. Make sure your paper is totally saturated, because it's going to make your blends better. I went to a Copic course, and that's where I learned that secret. And it makes, honestly, such a difference. Now I'm going to go to my mid shade. So I'm going to add more in the center here. Again, I do flicks because they're naturally soft. And then I go with my darkest. And I do fewer flicks. Greg, do you notice I said fewer this time?
Oh, well done. English is improving.
And then I might go back to my mid if I need to add more or soften something. Also, the more you go in with the same color, the deeper that's going to get too. So you can also use the same color, and then I just soften the whole thing out. But again, you can see all of the dimension that I have in there. And I still get in some bleeding, and not as much as I would because a lot of it is going into the paper underneath. But you can then either fussy cut it, or I'll show you my favorite hack for hiding any of those issues. So any other questions anyone's got, anything anyone wants to know? I'm going to color in the rest of this quickly.
Is perfect blend paper also better for other types of markers, not alcohol markers?
Water-based markers do struggle on it a little bit. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for those. But if you're blending inks, whether they're water-based inks, hybrid inks, whatever inks they are, it's going to blend better on the perfect blend, which is why we obviously named it perfect blend. So yeah, so for any kind of blending, any kind of stenciling or alcohol markers, and you can also play around with alcohol inks on it as a, it's kind of halfway between glossy alcohol ink cardstock and UPO. Anything else?
That's all we have for the moment, question-wise.
Okay, let me show you how to do leaves, because leaves are super easy with this technique. So I color in the base leaf, then I take my mid-tone and I lay my pen down probably past the 45 degrees. And then I might add a bit more. Then I take my darkest color and I stand it up a little bit more. Go down the middle, but a little bit thinner, and then just blend it out with my lightest. That's how easy a leaf is. Okay, so let's do that again. We go pretty thick down that center line with our mid-tone. And then we take our dark and we go down the line a little bit thinner. You might also want to flick in from the top a little bit just to add some dimension. And then we soften it out with our lightest. It's super simple. I mean, I am not an artist. I've not been trained as an artist. I took the Copic courses. Their method is great, but it takes forever to color. So I improved the process in my mind anyway. Not quite sure what Greg thinks, because he always tells me my process improvements are not the best. But yeah.
Hey.
But I like to go, and you see I'm just putting a flick, a short flick with my darkest, a long flick with my mid, and then going back in and softening. How else are we doing, Greg?
Yeah, we're good. Not quite a bunch today.
Maybe they're just taking in all the information. So I just keep all 3 pens in my hand at once. Another tip is if you just refilled your markers, and if you've ever done that and you've had something blob on your finished piece, then you'll know exactly what I mean by that. Then the trick is to take off both nibs, both caps. If you have your marker like this, you will never, ever get a blob, ever. It just doesn't happen, because apparently it's something to do with equalizing the pressure. Like I've literally gone like this, seen a blob coming, pulled this cap off, and you see the blob just come back up.
All right.
So
cool.
There's a tip for you if you've just refilled them and you find they're a little bit over juicy. There's a good way to fix that.
Where's a good place to get Copic markers?
I get my Copics usually from Dick Blick when they're on sale. That would be my suggestion. Ellen Hudson sometimes puts them on sale. That's another great place to get them.
Can you use Nouveau markers?
Yes, any alcohol marker will work for this technique. So Spectra Noir Tri-Blends, Nouveau markers, Artesas, they're a great price point. I'm trying to think who else. Who else has alcohol markers? But yeah, any alcohol markers should behave exactly the same way because this is kind of the tendency of alcohol-based ink.
And do the markers sell re-inkers? Where do you get the re-inkers from?
Copic do re-inkers. Again, get those from Dick Blick. Spectra Noir did, and then they stopped, and I think they're going to again. I don't really know what their reason behind that was. I do not like chameleon markers. I've tried them. I've tried everything. I just can't get them to work for me. Like colored pencils are amazing. I do not like their markers. And I'm trying to think who else. Nouveau do not do re-inkers. They were going to try and let you just buy one pen rather than having to re-buy the trio. And Artesa do not do refills at the minute anyway. I'm doing super fast cutting. Greg will tell you I do not normally color this fast. I was coloring all these things on the couch the other night, and they were not this fast.
Spent the whole evening coloring.
Yeah, we were watching films. And P.S. Never let Greg choose your film.
That's not always true.
It's often true, though, isn't it, babe? So who's coming to lift your spirits? Who's got their tickets? My husband doesn't choose filter, but yeah, I know, Kat. I mean, we've had people getting murdered, children getting kidnapped. What was the other one you chose the other day? Something about court case. Oh, there was the Chicago
7.
It was a really good film, but it was a little bit heavy for the evening I was covering.
It's not the best movie for a date night. That's kind of what.
Yeah, we had no kids. I needed to get my coloring done. We had a cocktail and a glass of wine. Not really what I was thinking, but it's fine. So there is my piece colored in.
Very cool.
I mean, that was really easy. And I didn't really pay as much attention as I normally would to it. So I did get some bleeds and things because I was going super fast. So there are a couple of things you can do. And Greg knows what one of my rants is about to be.
I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, you do. You will as soon as I get going. Don't worry. It'll all come flooding back to you. Blender pens.
Oh, yeah. They're not for blending.
Nope. Blender pens are terrible at blending. They do not work to blend. They are not meant to blend. I will show you what I mean because otherwise it's really hard to do. So if I do a really nice blend over here, lay down lots of color, and then we go to our mid shade, and we go to our dark shade, and go back to our mid. And then we go back to our light. So you can see I can get a pretty good blend pretty easily there. Well, a lot of people say, oh, just put your blender pen on it and any little lines you've got are going to go away. Let's see what a blender pen does. My blender pen bleaches. You see how I've now got a line in here and it bleaches out? Blender pens don't blend, they bleach. They're great if you want to do a tip-to-tip technique. So you can take the two tips. You can let your blender pen pick up some of your dark color. And you'll get a nice fade out. You can also do this cool thing where you take the chisel end, take your blender pen in the middle of it. You need to leave it there for a little bit longer just like this. Okay, and then when you take this, hopefully I did it long enough. You see how I've got like a plaid stripe in there? It's really cool because when you then go, oops, you then go that way, you can make really cool plaid. So you can pull out the color doing exactly what I said. It's a bleaching pen, not a blender pen. I have no idea, cats, why they call them blender pens, because it's the worst thing in the world at blending. But what it is good for is I call it the boo-boo fixer or the eraser, because here, for instance, where I have a little bleed, you just take the blender and push the color back in where you want it. Now, when I have a bigger bleed like this, or it's something with reds and pinks in it, it's going to take me a little bit longer. And you think that you've got this like wet stain on your paper. That will evaporate because the alcohol will evaporate. Don't go in too many times at once because you'll pill your paper. Although this £110 basics that we have at Maker Forte is great for alcohol marker coloring, boo-boo fixing, all those kinds of things, because I wanted just one cardstock in my craft room, not 100 different ones for every type of thing. It drives Greg nuts that I have like 8 different white cardstocks, because this one I'm like, oh, this one's for watercolor, and this one's for alcohol markers, and this one's for alcohol inks, and this one's for colored pencils. And he looks at me, he's like, we just have one.
You've got a whole box of them right there.
Yeah. So we have one, which is our basics, and you can pretty much do everything on it. And then we have the perfect blend, which just kind of complements it, because you can blend stencils beautifully on the 110. But if you use the perfect blend, you get all those awesome things. You can use it with the alcohol stuff and all of that. So that is why I did it, and really spent a lot of time choosing that white cardstock. So now you can see that boo-boo I had has disappeared. Just a couple of times, let it dry for a second, do it again, and you're going to get really clean, crisp edges. Now, another technique you can do, which I love this technique. One, I like going with like a T2, a W1. I wouldn't use any C's because they're cold based. So if you didn't know, there are 4 different grays in Copics. W for warm, it has warmth in it. So it's got some reds and yellows in it. You've got T for toner. So that really kind of like softens things. You've got your N for neutral. So it's just a pure gray. And then you have your C, which has blues in it. And that's your cold. So you can really kind of choose how you want to do that. So I like to go, so for instance, in here, where I have like little bits of greenery, that if you just took this and it was white, when you cut it out, it looks really weird. But if you go and you color with a little bit of a T, you might even go to a T1, which is lighter, it makes a big difference. I was showing Greg the other night. I'm not sure how much attention he paid, but it really does make a difference to color in those white bits. And then what I like to do is you can either do a couple of different things. One, and I know I'm a lefty, so it kind of makes it hard, is I have my pen really straight up and I just kind of really gently outline my piece. And let me just do a little bit and then I'll show you. And these ones I just kind of like dance around them. So I'm going to do it 2 ways. So this top half, I just kind of outline the whole thing. Just very lightly, very gently. So you can see it really just kind of cuts it out by having that. The other way you can do it is by doing your flicks. And this is where your flicks become really important. So you can just kind of go in these areas, fluff them out. You can see it really kind of like starts to soften it and look wispy. The other thing is, whether it's a flower, whether it's people, whatever it is, I like grounding. So I go from like the edge of my leaf. And this is why it's nice to kind of have a really light color, because it doesn't matter if you smudge. And I really do it towards the bottom. And so my pen is laying down a little bit more, so my flicks are thicker. But now, if I wasn't going to fussy cut this out, you can see, and I would have a few goes at this. I kind of finesse it slightly, but you see now it looks like it's sitting on a surface. And it makes a big difference. If you stamp out a person and you just do a little bit of this underneath them, all of a sudden, where did I put that? There it is. So you just do this underneath them. All of a sudden, they look like they're standing on something, and it makes a huge amount of difference. So you can go around and you can soften. Maybe you can even go down to a T0. Some people will do a light blue. But literally, they're just like little scribbles. And they just cut it out. Or, of course, you can go and fussy cut. So you can do a couple of different things. Then, this was what I was showing you on my live the other night, is you can then take this a step further and really finesse this off. I need to grab my splat box. Thanks, Greg. Just show them I'm not there.
I wasn't going to miss it.
This is my splat box. It's a very well-loved splat box. I use it all the time. And I put it in here so you can see. There you go. Now, in this spray bottle, I have a smidgen being like the tip of a teaspoon, like about this much of kaleidoscope powder, and I just top it up with water. And then I'm going to give it a shake. And now we're going to take this, and you can go as heavy or as not heavy as you want. I'm going to give it a quick dry so you really get the perspective. Now, the more kaleidoscope powder you add, the more this effect is there. The more water you add versus kaleidoscope powder, the lower the shimmer. So you can, again, play around with what works for your project. I'm going to give this a good drying up here. This one is, I want to say it's Saturn or Asteroid. I think it might be Asteroid. I have to say my favorite to do this with is Alien. I think Alien comes out the best. We're pretty much there. I'll do it for a second. So, here you go. You see how all of that pretty, and now you have this beautiful shimmery coat all over it. So I love how that comes out. So, that is it. And then you can see I have the whole thing. I should put it on white. This is how it looks. So I use one color, 3 different colors. I did cheat and add the gray just to show you some options there. And then I added that little bit of a shimmer coat on top just to give you that little bit extra. So what do you think, Greg?
That's really pretty.
Okay, so let's answer some questions. Are they alcohol-based? Yes, Copics are alcohol-based. The tri-blends are the easiest and fabulous. I like the tri-blends. I don't like them as much as Copics. If you can't afford Copic Sketch, the Copic Chow is a really good option. So the Chow, I have a couple in here. This is the Chow pen versus the Sketch pen. So you, bless you, Greg.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the 2 pens next to each other. This one is refillable. They say this one isn't, but I have seen people refill them. This contains more ink than this one. These have slightly different. You can see they still have the chisel and the brush. So I like the Chows. I started with Chows, and I pretty much replaced them all over time. But yeah, so that's there as well. Kind of gives a glow. Which marker did I use for that surround? I used T0 and T2. The T's are really nice for that. The W's are nice. We can do, I think in my next holidays, one of the things I'm going to do is some monochrome coloring techniques. So I'll be doing a whole hour on how to color like all sepia, all black and white, all grays, those kinds of things. Yeah, the powders are great. I love Alien. It's one of my favorite like this. You can also use any of the white ones, any of the white with interference. This one I'm pretty sure is the Asteroid though. Do I still use the Nuvo markers? Not as much. I do have them. They're a great marker. They don't have a brush tip is the one thing that I don't like about them is the brush. You can see like how I can do those beautiful flicks. I can make grass. I can make flowers. I can do all those kinds of things. I just love the Copics for that as well. So that's why I don't use the tonics as much. Do you have to swirl them instead of shaking them? I don't know. I mean, I've not had any issues. Also, the other thing I noticed with this, and this has been sitting on my desk for about 2 weeks, and I have another one, is they don't really separate. So like this one here, maybe Greg can do. This is a mini mister that I've had, and it's got a different powder in it. I can't remember which one. But they don't separate at all. Like, you know, normally when you have sprays, the mica goes to the bottom and they separate. These haven't separated. So I don't know about swirling versus thing. It is the coolest powder. I love it. Do I still like tonic markers? Yes, I do. As I say, the one thing for me is I love a brush tip just because I have more control over it. I can do those flicking techniques. I think it's just like the best way to be able to do things. So that's my 2 cents on it. So don't forget to grab your ticket for Lift Your Spirits. It's on the 14th at 7 p.m. And if you sign up for a ticket, but you can't make it at 7 p.m., you can watch it anytime. You'll get a link to watch it again. But it is a secret link. So you want to make sure you are there. You can use that code Lift Your Spirits DEC up until the event next Sunday. But if you shop today and your cart is more than $50, you don't have to do anything. We will add a crafty goodie bag for Nikolaus as filling your boots with some fun crafty supplies. And there's some great things in there. There's alcohol markers in some of them. There's papers in some of them. There's stamp sets, all sorts of fun Hedgehog Hollow things. From our subscription boxes and from other little ventures I've done over time. So I think you're really going to love the little goodie bags we've put together of all our retired products. There might even be a lion in one of them. I can't remember. Ali put them together. So be sure to go to makerforte.com, grab your ticket for Lift Your Spirits. The details are in the description below if you're not watching us live. And don't forget to hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and a thumbs up really does make all the difference. So we hope you will join us for our free class. We'll be doing something like this, but 4 completely different cards and how to use Christmas stamp sets in other ways other than Christmas as well. So have a fantastic day. A cat's just commented that she's adopting 2 brothers tomorrow that they fostered for 5 years. They're so excited. Well, congratulations, cats. That is absolutely awesome. Cool. Happy Adoption Day. We hope you have a fantastic way to start the week and the holiday period as well. So congratulations. So don't forget to join us. Make sure you've hit subscribe, ring the bell, grab your ticket, all of those fun things, and grab those freebies as well. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.